Listen, all I have to say is that if one more person says, how is this gonna work? I don't know how this is gonna work. 2 bachelorettes? How is this gonna work? I'm gonna start throwing hands.
That's it. That's my intro.
Hi, I'm Amanda. You're watching Swell Entertainment. Was that opening dramatic? Yes, but oh my god, I'm assuming a flippin' producer gave them the buzzword and every single contestant is going to keep saying it because that's how you get on TV. It's like, you just need to keep saying that you're confused about how this process works. Like, that's the best way to get on TV because, oh my god, it's every 3 seconds. Is everyone boring? Really? Are you all boring that you can't just use like critical thinking skills for 5 minutes and figure out how this might work? No one's even suggested a throuple yet, which I just think is boring. We need creativity on this show. This show is so bland now. We're talking about The Bachelorette or Bachelorettes with a crayon S. We have our 2 leads that came off of Clayton's season. Clayton was boring from the start, and I only watched the first 2 episodes because I found it hilarious that he was rejected by multiple women in his opening night, and that's comedy to me. And then what ended up happening is that he slept with 2 of the women and then really knew that he wanted to pick his final girl. And then she was freaked out and said no and like left, and then told both the girls that he had slept with both of them and that he was apparently like in love with all 3 of them, even though he definitely wanted the other girl. They were like, we're gonna leave, and then decided to stay, which I was so rooting for both of you to leave. And then went and met his parents and then left. And then he was like, I'm still have feelings for other girl whose name I'm forgetting, sorry. And they were like pissed that like, okay, so now that it's your choice to leave, it's good. But when we wanted to leave, that was not okay. And like, yeah, Gabby and Rachel are our 2 bachelorettes. They were chosen as the bachelorettes because people were like, we want to see both of them. And though they've previously done this before where they just had 2 bachelorette seasons in a row, they decided let's have 2 bachelorettes because that's different. We've had romantic rivals and contestants, but we've never been able to pit 2 leads against each other like this the whole season. So because we're talking about The Bachelorette, I'm wearing a little cocktail dress, mainly because at one point in the previews, Rachel is wearing like this dark green, I think it's velvet dress, and I will continue to watch this show for that alone. I wasn't going to talk about The Bachelor this season. I usually don't talk about The Bachelor. I like talking about different reality shows, and then I compare them to Bachelor and The Bachelorette because that's just my frame of reference for these shows, and a lot of these shows use The Bachelor and The Bachelorette as like a blueprint, so it makes sense to compare them all. I also think that a lot of these shows, they want to like strive to be The Bachelor to some degree, or at least have the legacy of The Bachelor and Bachelor Nation and all of that, so I think it fits. However, when the show was announced that they were going to have 2 female leads, I got people DMing me and commenting things like, oh my god, are you going to talk about this and how they're copying Joe Millionaire beat with the 2 leads? And I did think that was a ridiculous statement. So I didn't reply, and then I wasn't going to make a video. But then I started seeing some of the comparisons, and even on social media, people are still being like, how are they going to do this? And again, is everyone boring? I don't get why the 2 lead concept is like so far gone on people. Is it because they're women? Is that it? Is that why everyone's like, how is this gonna work? Is that what it is? Because like women jealous, you know? Is that where we're coming from here? Also, as I'm filming this, I should point out only 2 episodes have aired at the time of filming this. That is the caveat of being a YouTuber and covering live TV or TV as it's airing. I've only seen 2 episodes. This video will probably come out probably after the 3rd episode is aired. So keep that in mind that this will probably be missing at least 1 episode of data. I'll probably have a comment in there somewhere, but we'll see. So Joe Millionaire, for richer or poor, is the Joe Millionaire that they're talking about. This is a show that came out earlier this year. I watched it at the start when I first hit COVID in January, and I love Joe Millionaire. Joe Millionaire was the most fun I've had watching a new reality TV show in a while, and even though I hated the reveal, I think you butchered the reveal. I think you did a terrible job at the reveal. Producers, if you're watching this, I have no idea if you're getting another season. I would really like to go on Joe Millionaire. I would actually also really like to go on The Bachelor and The Bachelorette. But my manager told me that because I want to get into acting, that is one of the things I'm pursuing right now, it's very hard to get into theatrical once you've done reality. So unfortunately, if I want to be an icon, I have to do it the old-fashioned way, and I can't just be a smartass and go through emotional turmoil on national television under the guise of falling in love. Life is just so unfair. So I will not be applying for Joe Millionaire, and I will not be applying for The Bachelor. I know, devastating. Though I do believe that I am a solid 6 on a good day, so I don't think I would make it on either of these shows to begin with. So the whole premise of Joe Millionaire, for richer or poorer, was that you had one guy who was a millionaire and another guy who was an average Joe. They know, production knows, the contestants do not know. And so the whole premise is trying to figure out if you can fall in love without money being a factor, having it or not having it. Spoiler alert, though they both chose someone at the end, neither guy is still with their pick. I believe Kala and Steven broke up a couple of months ago. They were the ones that I was like, they're buying a house together. They're gonna, nope. But the whole premise was can you fall in love without money being a factor? And the girls from White One knew that there was 2 dudes that they were dating, and that was kind of like an added element, was trying to figure out, one, who do you like, but also, do you like that they have money or not like money? Can you figure out who has money and who doesn't like money? And I like that element because I thought it was like a fun little mystery side of things, where it was like, yeah, it was interesting to hear everyone's reasoning of why, like how each guy presented themselves and how the women interpreted that to mean they had money or didn't have money. I liked that element of it. I was like, this is kind of fun. Like you're really kind of seeing like what people think of in regards to like wealth, and like how that translates to someone's personality and being and upbringing and all of that. And I just thought that was interesting. From the jump of Joe Millionaire, they had 2 leads. And I'm assuming that they thought that there was going to be some form of rivalry between the guys. Instead, what there was is that they were bros from the jump. They really got along really well. They were both like 2 conflicting types of alpha male, I think, but they got along really well. And even when there was a point where they were both after the same girls, like they both were kind of interested in the same girls, even though they had their definite picks themselves, they were still like, okay, yeah, like maybe the best man win, type of thing. And I assumed that would be the same case here. Like Gabby and Rachel are friends. I know what happens when I have friends and we're into the same people, men or women, like the same thing goes, your friends. Where the jealousy came in with Joe Millionaire was, again, from the contestants. Like one of them kissed one of them, and then another girl was like pissed that like her guy that she liked kissed someone else, or kissed her and then kissed someone else, that type of thing. The jealousy came from the contestants in the same way that it normally does. For some reason with the Bachelorettes, they're just kind of assuming that the girls are going to be jealous of each other and not the guys are going to be jealous. And I get, the stereotypes of like jealous females and all of that, I get that, but I don't get why it would be any different this go around for previous Bachelorette seasons, where the contestants are the ones getting jealous and being upset that like they thought they had a connection and then, she has like 15 boyfriends, like why is that not still the case here? And I'm assuming it's production. I'm assuming production is like, oh, we've never had this drama before. And to be fair, they have started with 2 Bachelorettes before. I believe it was what ended up being Caitlin Bristow's season. Basically what happened is that for the season 11 of The Bachelorette, they had 2 starting Bachelorettes on night 1. The 2 women met all of the guys, and then the guys voted for which woman they wanted to be the Bachelorette. So they had some guys that were there for Britt and some guys that were there for Caitlin and some people that were undecided. Caitlin ended up being chosen at The Bachelorette. This was bullshit. I hate that concept. It's like, let's give the guys the power. And they're doing the same thing here for Rachel and Gabby, and they're pretending that they're not. They're pretending that it's the guys doing it, but like, there's really no reason for like the trailers to be shown the way that they are. Like the people keep saying in the show itself, like, this isn't normal. How is this gonna work? 2 Bachelorettes. None of this is normal. You're on TV. None of this is normal. But I do think that for the most part, the show is not being conducted any differently despite having 2 Bachelorettes. And they're kind of acting like, oh, we didn't do a rose ceremony the first night because we're different and we haven't met everyone, so we want control. The fact that they are still being given the same amount of men to pick through for both of them is stupid. You should have more men this amount of time, and if you wanted to do something dramatic, have them to declare their intentions from the jump, like, hey, I'm kind of into you, or I'm into you from the jump, versus having these guys turn down Rachel's roses. Fuck you. Oh my God. Let me put a little caveat in here, because I do think that this is an instance that I've talked about with other reality shows, I believe The Courtship and Joe Millionaire, when contestants decided that they were not attracted to the lead and they were instead attracted to a friend or someone on production, okay? And I said, you know, I do, like, is that kind of shitty? Yes. But wouldn't you rather figure out now versus anywhere else? Because yeah, you don't know who these people are going in. You're just cast on a show and you're told you're going to be dating this guy, and then you don't actually like the guy, or you don't actually like this girl. You know, there's something there, and that's shitty. Yes. But it's a fact of life. It happens. Sometimes you're not attracted to the person put in front of you, and that's just how it goes. Same goes with these girls not being attracted to some of these guys. So Millionaire, it's like, oh yeah, I'm getting to know these guys, and then you kind of make a decision of who you like. That's not what happens here. These girls were on the last season of Clayton's season. These people that are watching the show know who they are rooting for while watching the show. They know who they are attracted to while watching the show. They know who they kind of have an idea of who they went on the show for. They're not just applying for a reality dating show. They're applying because they thought Rachel or Gabby were going to be the Bachelorette, and that's who they wanted. So it's not surprising to me that some of these guys have a preference going in, because they have a preconceived notion of who Gabby and Rachel are going into the show. They're trying to go with this narrative of like, will these best friends be together forever? Fuck you. Oh my God. The way that Joe Millionaire worked with the rose ceremonies, or the elimination ceremonies, I should say, show the guys discussing the moments that they had with each of the girls, which I liked. They said, oh, I really liked how I connected with Kala, or I liked what she shared. I liked that she was very open about having a child, you know, things like that. And we get to see that thought process. I think The Bachelor specifically used to do this, where they would show them looking pensively at like all of the photos of the remaining contestants and like deciding who they wanted to keep, which is so funny. And I think they should bring that back, because with 2 Bachelorettes, we could hear them discussing their connections with these guys. And I know we're seeing that in the little sides, but considering you have 2 women, you can't keep having them do that. So the rose ceremony moments and having a moment to themselves to look at things and discuss, looking at all the photos, I think would be better in this situation. So then in the elimination ceremonies, instead of having Steven or Kurt say, I want you to stay, they would pretty much always have Martin, the butler, who was also the host, which I do think was genius. Martin was brilliant. Say who they wanted to keep. The Joes would like you to stay, or the men would like you to stay, or whatever, you know, that type of thing. They did with the second episode is that they had Jesse, the host, come out and say that the girls have made it clear to me that these roses are for both of them, and they both want to get to know you and have you stay. That should be the case the entire time, unless the guys start declaring their opinions from the jump, which it looks like they do at some point, which maybe they're just being dicks about it, and that's where we're getting the dramatic. I know it's not good to say, hey, I'm really not interested in you like that. I don't know how the cocktail reception would have happened with Joe Millionaire, because what happened with Joe Millionaire, with the whole premise, was that obviously none of the contestants are able to know who is the millionaire and who is not going in. One of the girls had actually matched with Steven on Hinge and followed each other on Instagram. And so she definitely knew that he had money. And so they had to send her home night 1. And so they canceled the cocktail party at night 1 and just kind of had all the girls move in because they needed to revet everyone. I'm assuming. They don't say that, but I'm assuming that's what it was. They were like, we need to reset and vet everyone to make sure that no one knows who is who and all of that. So then what they did is they had like a garden party the next day and had the guys kind of mingle with all the girls in one enclosed space so that the guys could kind of move around the circles and talk to everyone, versus the traditional, can I steal you away, which none of these dudes did. You guys suck at this. Have you never watched this show before? Also, the girls going off in another room to themselves together was not a good idea. I don't know who thought that was a good idea. I'm assuming it was like a safety thing. Like they were like, we're gonna keep holding hands because we're nervous. Like I get that, but like you guys should have separated. Producers should have separated them night 1. I'm sorry. That should have been broken up. Easier to approach one person versus approaching 2. And sure enough, the guys that approached them when they were together got sent home because they felt really awkward about being approached and having to double talk with everyone, which makes sense. I do think that should have been divided up right away. Sure enough, once Gabby and Rachel broke apart, they started having better connections with the guys. I think the group dates, like group, I don't think is a good idea. They did that a couple of times with Joe Millionaire, but it was further on down the line. What they did first episode, they had like a random selection of heels and cowboy boots. And again, they're doing the whole like working class versus high class kind of lifestyle bit. So they had a cotillion and then like they went to like a cowboy bar or something for the dates. The women who went on the dates were randomly selected based on what shoe they ended up grabbing, cowboy boots or heels, and it was random. And then the guys randomly got to go on the dates. They weren't told who they were meeting to begin with. And that got really genuine reactions from the women for who they were going on the date with, and then being revealed of like, oh my God, it's Steven. I was hoping for Kurt. Oh no, like that type of thing. I think that would have worked here. That first date being them together, I don't think was a good idea, but I know you guys have a formula that you think works. And so you were like against breaking that apart. Honestly, I think doing 2 full group dates with the women individually versus doing the smaller groups like that. Because even then, what they did in the second episode was they had like a little male beauty pageant in Speedos, which always fun because there's always randomly girls in bikinis in the Bachelor season. I think that doing that and then doing like a little Q&A, and then from that, the girls picking who they wanted to do on like a little group date is one thing, but I think it would be better if they just had the girls do separate little mini group dates and they chose who was going on the group dates in general from that. And you can have smaller groups. Maybe there are some men left over and they're left to sweat and panic. And then you tell them there's going to be an individual one-on-one date after that. But I think doing the dates together is not a good idea. I don't think it is, because it's going to confuse everyone and then a girl is going to end up feeling shitty at the end. And I feel like it's less stressful to then like, oh, hey, I'm forming a connection with someone and then have it go the other way around. I know production-wise, they probably won't do that. They don't want to do that because then there's no opportunities for these guys to get 2 kisses from both girls in the same night. And that's what you want. You want them to like sweat a little bit, the girls. But I feel like the most organic as if this isn't The Bachelorette. I'm like, let's help them fall in love in a way that's not stressful. And you guys are like, let's make them hate each other. I get what you want, production, but I am team Gabby and Rachel, okay? And that being said, Rachel, Gabby, if you guys decide that you want to like flee this whole thing, I live in California, I'm in LA area, just send the word. I will be a getaway driver and I won't ask any questions, okay? Just hit me up. My line's open. I got you. So I'm assuming there is probably a general selection of people who are like, I'm here for the show. I'm here for both women. I kind of want to see where this is. I can see a future with both of them. I'm here for Gabby. I am here for Rachel, okay? And there's a variety of all those guys. However, based on the previews that we are seeing, either Rachel's guys keep voting off, or the show was secretly only wanting Gabby to be the Bachelorette, and they're kind of hoping that Rachel's gonna dip. That's what I'm getting from the trailers. Like, that's what the production's plan was that they were just kind of gonna keep picking guys who were more geared towards Gabby. Or guys were lying and they were just there for Gabby, but they were like, I'm open to both women. Maybe they were doing that. There do seem to be some guys who are specifically there for Rachel, but we're not being shown that in the trailers. And so it does look like Rachel might be fleeing, but there are also guys who are definitely there only for Rachel, who are interested who are telling Gabby, I am here for Rachel, which again, not surprising when you have these 2 bachelorettes. Something that they did in Joe Millionaire towards the end. Basically, they never actually made the girls choose till like the very end. Again, we're dealing with people who are already have preconceived notions of the leads. So again, I don't know how much that would work. Once they got down to like, I think the final 6, they had the girls declare who they were interested in, if they were interested in Steven or Court, or if they were still undecided. And if the girls that were undecided, they got to do it basically a tiebreaker date where they would spend like one part of the day with Kurt and another part of the day with Steven. And by the end of that, they really had to make their decision. And that's pretty much what happened. I believe it was Kala and Annie who decided they still weren't sure who they wanted to be with. Kala was one of those girls, and she just, she started having her date with Kurt and was like, I really think I have more feelings for Steven. I'm sorry. Like really right away. And it was kind of like, yeah, once you're put in that choice, like at the end, you got to make a decision. And by then you kind of know your decision. I do think that would work here. Looks like because they're doing the rose ceremonies earlier, it's putting the power into the guys, the contestants earlier. And I don't think that's working out well. And that's why I think Rachel, I don't know if she'll leave. I think they're just putting that in the trailers because they want drama. I don't think she's actually gonna leave. Like, obviously the season is already shot. They're not gonna change it. I think the guys need to be more honest with themselves because obviously I do think they all came into the show with preconceived notions. And maybe some of the guys are like clearly like, I just kind of want both women to be attracted to me because that's what I want. Not I'm interested in both women. Okay, my guy. Dickhead. Oh, by the way, this usually with these shows, the first 2 episodes, I have no idea who's in and who's out. I don't know your names. I won't tell like week 4. You got to dwindle it down for me a bit. I like the concept of the 2 bachelorettes. I would like it better if you stop editing it and stop setting it up like you're trying to pit these women against each other, as if that's the only logical conclusion for this setup. There is a way to do this so that both women still have their power and still are able to potentially find love. Making them share the same chunk of men that the usual bachelorette gets is stupid. I'm glad they canceled the first rose ceremony. I think they should have been able to say, no, I want to keep these guys. Give me more roses. I'm assuming that once they start declaring their opinions on guys, God, the fact that the guys are turning down the roses, don't you just want to stay? Obviously, these girls discussed who they wanted to give their roses to, and you saying no, you don't get to stay now. The thing about the previews with the I'm actually here for Rachel or I'm here for Gabby, those things. On the dates, it's one thing. I get it. I know it sucks, but I would rather have the guys do it on the dates. Some of the guys are being total dicks about it. Like, obviously, if it was just you here, I would not be here. Fuck you. One of the guys did that to Rachel the first night, on one of the dates. Like, I'm going to be honest. Like, I think you're really great and I think you're really genuine, but I am here for Gabby. And I think that's really just kind of the best outcome you can get from this type of things. Like, hey, I have more feelings for Gabby. I'm really attracted to her, X, Y, and Z. You know, like, I think you're really cool. You seem swell, but like, I'm really not interested in you like that and I'm sorry. You know, like that's the best case scenario I think you can get. It sucks, but that's really all you can really get other than the guys being like, yeah, I don't like you, you know? When Rachel is giving out roses and they're like, I can't accept this, I'm here for Gabby. I'm assuming the girls discussed who they were giving roses to. Obviously, Gabby said, yeah, you can have him. Absolutely, give him your rose. Go for it. Do you think that Gabby's just going to keep you now? I don't think so. If that is the case, if they're making the girls fight for dates, I'm going to go fight production myself because how dare you? Like these guys being dicks to Rachel or just saying, I'm not interested in you, I'm in here for Gabby. That's one thing because then we just send them home. Okay, bye. You don't get any rose then. If you won't accept my rose, then we're done. Goodbye. You can leave. Goodbye. You don't get to stick around for Gabby to decide that she's going to give you the rose because I'm assuming you better have had the girls talk about it and decide I'm giving my roses to X, Y, and Z. I'm giving my roses to X, Y, and Z. And and I'm assuming they're fine with that because that's how this should work. Anyways, that's why I'm going to leave this. I do think there's a way to do this that's not stupid, but production is again trying to make this the same Bachelorette season style, but with 2 bachelorettes. And I don't think that makes sense. I don't think it works. And it's not just because women jealous. It's not just that, you know, and to boil it down to that is so narrow-minded. It's stupid. Anyways, that's it. Do you watch Bachelor Nation? Did you watch Joe Millionaire? Do you also think Joe Millionaire should get another 18 seasons? Do you also think that Gabby and Rachel should just leave all these men behind and run away together? I do. Let me know. Comment down below. Reminder, I have a podcast, Swell Shenanigans Podcast. Reminder, I have merch like that mug back there. Shout out to my patrons. Thank you so much for supporting me on Patreon. If you also support me on Patreon, I'll leave this down below. Like some on my social media. That'll be all up here. And that's going to be it. Have a lovely day. Goodbye. They kept making jokes about like, oh yeah, are you in love with 3 women? That type of thing, making jokes about that, making fun of Clayton. But the fact that no one is like, I mean, you guys are best friends. Sure you wouldn't be into like throuple situation.
Thank you, Audrey, Alan, Cameron, Christopher, Chris, Crash PC, China, Davion, David, Dirty One, Don, Elliot, Evan, Eric, Feckless, Hopeless, Incognito, Jekka Ray, Joe, John M, Jordan, Joseph, Kenny, Kim, Kristen Lamb, Lexi, Luis, Matt O, Matthew S, Meme Lord, Michael J, Micah, Nathan, Nathaniel, Pat, Penn, Richard, Rob, Red, Robert Ross, Sam, Serena, Skylar, Simon, Tasha, Timmy, Tom, Wendy, Williams, Enders, Wink.